Hello, my name is Sarah Anenson, and this is my final project for the MBAC 696 class, and I am doing a Socratic discussion on organizational performance management. So hopefully in this discussion, I'm going to get more into the deeper issues and less just an overview of organizational performance management. So what is organizational performance management, which I'm going to call OPM? So OPM.gov, which is an organization that helps government organizations become more efficient, states that OPM is about translating goals into results and focuses not only on individual employees, but also on teams, programs, processes, and organization as a whole. Dr. Ian O'Boyle and Dr. David Hassan write that OPM can be viewed as a holistic approach to performance that spans numerous performance dimensions that are fundamental to the effective delivery of an organization's mission. What I've learned in my personal experience and from the MBA program and from all the discussions we've had to do, organizational performance management goes hand in hand with systems thinking. It's looking at every part of an organization along with the stakeholders that the organization affects and making sure that every part of the organization's goals align with a larger goal, and that one part of an organization isn't overpowering another part of an organization, and that if money were to be allocated to different parts of an organization, it's allocated correctly to what parts of the organization is needed. So how is OPM measured? And I'm going to look at the performance prism and balanced scorecard and compare and contrast the two and try to get kind of a little deeper into what's important about OPM. So the performance prism asks the following 5 questions. So stakeholder satisfaction, what are the wants and needs of our stakeholders? Shareholder contribution, what can our stakeholders provide us? Strategies, which strategies are best to implement in order to satisfy stakeholder demands? And processes, which processes should be adopted to satisfy stakeholder demands? And then capabilities, what practices, people, technology, and infrastructure is required so processes and strategies can be fully implemented. Then the balanced scorecard asks the following 4 questions. Customer perspective, how do customers see us? Internal perspective, what must we excel at? Innovation and learning perspective, can we continue to improve and create value? And then financial perspective, how do we look to shareholders? So is one of these systems better? So looking at the two, there are some big differences. The performance prism doesn't separate customers and shareholders. They kind of look at all stakeholders as the same. Do you think they should be analyzed differently? Is one of them more important? So I think, especially depending on the company, I don't think that necessarily shareholders and customers, I don't think necessarily one of them is more important. But I do see value in looking at them separately like the balanced scorecard does. While one of them might not be more important, one of them, they should be, how you approach them should be different. And then being at Regis and learning all about creating a good company and not just a profitable company, it is important to care about both your shareholders and your customers. And how to be successful, I believe, is by serving your customers the best way possible. And so in order to be a successful organization, you have to look at the customers. So I think there is value in looking at them differently. The balanced scorecard specifically talks about the financial perspective. It asks the question, how do we look to our shareholders? Should a company look at financials? I think that a company should look at financials. I don't think it should be the be-all, end-all of the organization. I think if financials are the most important thing, then you have the danger of being short-sighted, and I think that that you want to look, I mean, that's part of the reason of a balanced scorecard, is that you're looking at all these different things, not just financials, and I think some companies might put too much emphasis on financials, but I think it is important, and it's important for an organization to keep track of their financials so that they can continue to grow responsibly and not get too out of hand. So why does OPM fail, and why do companies fail? I think a big part of why organizations fail that are trying to practice organizational performance management is a failure of communication. I think that a lot of times executives and managers have grand ideas, but there's a failure of communication to the other parts of the organization. And then this kind of goes hand in hand with that, but there's also can be bad measurements or, bad goals. So an organization, and I think the correct way to set a goal is for it to be very specific and measurable. So I want sales to sell $4 million, and I want $1 million of it to be in new products and $3 million to be in existing products. I think that would be a good goal. A bad goal would be we want to improve sales. We need measurable goals, and we need to communicate them. So in conclusion, organizational performance management is very important for companies, and even if you have OPM, one of the biggest problems is that it's not communicated. One of the best things about organizational performance management is that it forces leadership to look at all different parts of an organization as opposed to just focusing on one, which especially I think an executive may come up from one part of the company, and so they may have a focus on one part instead of looking at the organization as a whole. And so practicing things like creating a prism or a balanced scorecard forces them to look at the organization as a whole. It forces executives to engage in systems thinking. I hope you enjoyed my overview and discussion about organizational performance management. It was wonderful researching it and very beneficial to me. Thank you very much. Bye.